Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a true urban pioneer, her incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
I remember moving to Dallas in 1992, and at that time there was no activity downtown. The joke was that at 5 o'clock you could have a bowling ball go down Main Street and not hit anything. But obviously that has turned around, and one of the people responsible for looking at some of these old buildings is Tanya Ragan. She is with Wildcat Management. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, I'm such a fan of downtown Dallas, and I love what you've done with this one property. But tell us your journey. You came from New York.
I did. I moved to Dallas, Texas about 17 years ago. Like everyone else that's moving to Texas from California and the East Coast, I heard that this was the land of the opportunity. So I got here as fast as I could.
Me too. It's beautiful. And I want to talk about the Purse building, because this is a historic building, and we're going to show some video of this. How old is the building?
So the building is 119 years old. It's a historic landmark. The building had sat empty for over 30 years until my company, Wildcat Management, purchased it and began the rehabilitation efforts to restore it.
And it's so cool. I mean, I love the design. As you looked at the building, I mean, there were countless real estate moguls over time that would see the building but just ignore it. So what did you see that the others didn't?
I think with this project, like a lot of old buildings and historic buildings, there is a little bit of a fear of what you're going to find when you go in and begin peeling back all of the layers. You know, this building is located in at the entry to the historic West End, just across the street from the new Records building that was recently redeveloped with the county. And I think there was a combination of timing with the revitalization of the neighborhood. I think there was an issue with maybe some of the ownership in the area that had been long-time owners. But I think, most of all, there was the concern of, okay, this is an old building, somebody's got to spend some money, you got to go in, you got to peel everything back, and really the unknown of what you're going to find. For us, when we went in and we started peeling everything back, we found the 119-year-old original floors.
Wow.
Just underneath all of the wood, glue, carpet, under all of the neglect, the beautiful exposed brick, the high ceilings and the beams. But, the building, last occupied in the early 90s, had just sat empty with, old small offices. And until somebody came in and spent some money, to really find what was underneath it all, essentially that's what we did. So I feel like we really kind of discovered a diamond underneath all that.
Yeah, and I applaud you, because I think so many people would have gone with a safe bet. A safe bet is putting up something in Frisco right now, right? But for you to see something that nobody else saw, did you have any naysayers in your life saying, Tanya, what are you thinking?
Well, I've had naysayers in my life, my whole life. About 10 years ago, my company actually was involved with moving the oldest commercial building in downtown Dallas. We moved it brick by brick. We moved it around 8 blocks to what is now the Farmers Market District and the largest neighborhood district in downtown Dallas. We took that building apart and we relocated it, and now that area and that building is bustling with activity. So I was looking for a new, what I'll call a romantic or fun project, something that would challenge me. And I learned about this building and the West End and thought, you know what, I think this would be great for a new fun project. So that's what drew me to the building. And, you know, I was probably the fourth or fifth owner in the last 10 years. I'm the first woman to own that building. And, you know, I really believe not only what was happening downtown, but what was happening in this area of the city. So, you know, I got behind it and we began the process, and here we are just a few years later.
And Tanya, the media absolutely loves you. We went to your press page, and let's slowly roll down this. I mean, you're all over the place, and I think downtown and Deep Ellum needs an ambassador like you.
Well, thank you. You know, I would say there is, you know, not a lot of women, not only not a lot of women in construction, certainly not a lot in commercial real estate. You know, I really, you know, have enjoyed not only being downtown Dallas, but really being a pioneer for women in this role, that women can be involved in construction. They can be involved in commercial real estate, architecture, engineering. And it's just been, you know, it's been one heck of a ride the last 17 years to see downtown go from, you know, a city that essentially had no activity after 5 p.m. to today, where, you know, it truly is a live, work, play environment, and, you know, bustling with activity. It's just been a lot of fun to play some small part of that and be a part of that.
I urge my viewers to go to her social media, because you have just tons of videos, and a lot of them are geared towards empowering the next generation of female leader. Talk about why that's such a passion for you.
You know, I found as I became more successful and further along in my career that I started to see less and less women, right? You know, starting out, there was a strong peer group, and, you know, as I graduated, became, you know, within my career, got promoted, moved up, you know, before I moved to Texas, I worked in corporate America for, you know, a little over a decade, and I was the youngest director for a publicly traded company where I worked before I went out on my own. And as I was in that position and looking ahead of, okay, what's next for me? Where do I want to go? You know, I realized I'm looking around and there are some fantastic women in my peer group, but as I look ahead, I recognize, God, any one of us could be in the next position ahead, but the reality is, there's probably only going to be one of us that gets there. And, you know, that was about the time that I decided that I felt the timing was right for me to go out on my own. And, you know, as I've become more successful, I recognized that there are just fewer and fewer women. And for me, you know, I want to do everything I can to get more women at the table, get more women at the seat, you know, with a seat at the table, and just really use, now that I've reached where I'm at with owning my own company and having investments throughout the country. I have a staff that's majority female, you know, doing what I can today with my voice to try to encourage and bring more women along with me.
Absolutely. Well, you inspire me. What would you say to a younger you? What advice would you give yourself at age 21 or 22?
A younger me. Well, I would say that a couple things that worked to my advantage was that, you know, I really didn't have a lot of fear. I grew up in a small town. I graduated from a small Christian school. I was one of 6 people in my graduating class. When I went off to the public university, which was a big deal that I went to a public university, you know, there were more students and people in that classroom than there were in my entire school. And I really believe that, you know, almost being even a little naive, that I wasn't fearful. So I wasn't afraid to, you know, seek out an internship opportunity in Dallas, Texas. I wasn't afraid to hop on a plane and come plead my case of why they needed to make a position for me within that organization. You know, when I moved to New York or when I went off to college, you know, I didn't have a lot of fear because it just was so new. I didn't really think that I couldn't do it. So I think today, a lot of us in this time of social media and, putting everything out there and everyone being able to research everyone. And, now even when you go to college, they try to put a lot of pressure on you to make decisions and, what you want to do or, what your niche is. And look, I've been in fashion, I've been in oil and gas, I've worked in startup, I've worked in real estate, I've done a lot of different things. And I'm a big believer in trying different things and putting yourself out there. So, what I would tell other women and what I would tell my younger self is, don't be afraid of failure. What's the worst that can happen? You don't like that. That job isn't a good fit for you. Maybe that project didn't work or that, position didn't work. Well, you know what? It's a learning opportunity and you go on to the next thing. The other piece of it is ask for what you want. As women, we're sort of trained at a very young age to be, be friendly, be accommodating, don't rock the boat. I think for women, we do ourselves a disservice by not asking for what we want. And our male counterparts, they are very firm and comfortable speaking up of, what they want to do, what promotion they want, what they want to make, what they want to get paid. And I think for women, we need to do more of that.
Wow, that is a beautiful way to end this segment. We're going to end with your website, which is pursebuildingdallas.com. Tanya Ragan, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.